are, there's like 35 different assets that have been filed for.
Do you think with the recent uprising of...
I think the longer tail of assets.
Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to have you here with me again. I really hope you're crushing it today, no matter where you're tuning in from around this amazing world of ours. All right, let's dive right into what everyone's been asking about, XRP. So check this out. We're looking at the one-day chart right now, and guess what? We're sitting pretty at $2.36. And yes, you're seeing that right. Today is definitely a green day for XRP, my friends. Now here's where it gets interesting. When we zoom out to that 7-day chart, we can see we haven't quite cracked that $2.40 resistance level yet. We're still hanging out just below it, waiting for that breakthrough moment. And look, I'm going to be real with you. Could we see XRP dip lower from here? Absolutely. It's totally possible. I'm seeing tons of people in the comments and across social media getting pretty bearish on XRP right now, and honestly, on crypto in general. But here's the thing about me. I'm always that optimistic guy. I genuinely believe there's something brewing behind the scenes that's going to send XRP absolutely flying. Call me crazy, but that's just how I see it. What I'm really watching for, though? I'd love to see XRP punch through and hold above that $2.40 mark. If we can do that, boom. That's going to tell us we're likely heading much higher from here. And would you look at that? Bitcoin just smashed back above $107,000. Here's the thing I keep hammering home to you guys. When Bitcoin decides to party, it invites the entire crypto market to come along for the ride. XRP? Still totally glued to Bitcoin's moves. I literally bring this up in every single video because I see way too many of you freaking out on red days going, "Why is XRP dying?" But listen up, it's not just XRP. The whole dang market moves together, and Bitcoin is still calling all the shots here. Now, I'm hearing buzz from literally everyone that this week is going to be absolutely massive for crypto. And you know what? I'm totally on board with that hype. Here's what could spark the fireworks. We're potentially looking at a Fed rate cut that could change everything. All right, here's what's got everyone talking. We now have a rock-solid 100% chance that the Fed is slashing rates next week. The million-dollar question is, will Powell play it safe with 25 basis points, or is he going to shock everyone with a full 50? I'm pretty sure that big announcement drops on the 29th, so circle that date. Now here's where it gets spicy. Literally everyone is expecting a buying frenzy to kick off before this rate cut hits. And honestly, I'm right there with them on that one. But hold up, we've got this whole tariff drama lurking in the shadows. If we start hearing politicians yapping about more tariffs next week, buckle up, Buttercup, because we might be staring down the barrel of another ugly red week. On the flip side, though, if everyone just keeps their mouths shut about tariffs and lets the markets chill out, then boom, we could very well see XRP rocket ship its way back up. And holy moly, the price predictions I'm seeing right now are absolutely off the charts. Some of these calls are so wild, they're making my calculator smoke. But don't worry, I'm going to dive deep into all those mind-blowing predictions later in this video, so stick around. Speaking of what's happening right this second, XRP just pulled off a nice recovery after that morning stumble we witnessed earlier. And guess what's got every trader glued to their screens? You got it. They're all holding their breath for that sweet $2.40 breakout, just like I was mentioning before. We absolutely need to smash through that $2.40 barrier. And here's why things are looking pretty chill right now. It's the weekend, baby. The markets are in weekend mode, which means no surprise presidential tweets about tariffs dropping out of nowhere. No major drama, no chaos, just pure peaceful market vibes. So naturally, everything's starting to find its groove and settle down. But here's the kicker. The second we see any hint of conflict pop up, or God forbid, more tariff chatter starts flying around, that's game over. You can bet your bottom dollar that Bitcoin's going to take a nosedive faster than you can say sell button. Good news for XRP investors as Ripple battles through the 24% monthly slump. And they're all citing the same thing. They're buzzing about ETFs potentially going live. And trust me, I've got so much more tea to spill on that topic later in this video. But here's what separates the real XRP believers from the paper hands. If you truly understand what you're holding when you've got XRP in your portfolio, you can weather any storm. Even if we see another dip, and we might, true XRP investors are going to hold tight because they know what's coming. We're talking about a parabolic run that's going to blow everyone's minds. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And here's what cracks me up. You've got all these negative Nancys complaining every single day about XRP. But mark my words, the second that breakout starts happening, these same people are going to be jumping up and down screaming, "I told you XRP was going to the moon!" Yeah, right, buddy. Right now, just because we haven't broken out yet, everyone's acting like XRP is dead and buried. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many times I've heard, "This run is over, pack it up, see you in 2028? Come on, people! This run hasn't even gotten started yet. XRP charts now showing $1,200, just as I predicted a year ago. So, like I mentioned earlier, some of these price predictions floating around are absolutely bonkers. I'm talking numbers that would make your jaw hit the floor. But here's the real question. Could XRP actually rocket to these insane price targets? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. In crypto, literally anything can happen. We've seen coins do the impossible before, right? But let's be realistic here for a hot second. I'd be over the moon if we could just crack that $50 barrier first. Once XRP smashes through $50 and holds it like a boss, then we'll have a much clearer picture of where this rocket ship is actually headed. And between you and me, I still think we've got a legitimate shot at seeing triple digits during this cycle. Yeah, you heard that right. 3-digit XRP might not be as crazy as it sounds. Here's a more engaging and conversational rewrite for your YouTube voiceover. But oh my goodness, check out this chart I'm about to show you. Seriously, are you sitting down? Because this might blow your mind. So here's what we're looking at. If XRP breaks out in the first wave, we're talking about a potential ride up to somewhere between $90 and $100. But wait, it gets even crazier. The next leg up after that, we could be staring at price targets around $1,750. Now, let me keep it real with you. I personally think we're more likely to peak somewhere in that $90 to $100 range during this cycle. But here's where things get absolutely wild. These ETF inflows could be completely game-changing. Like, we might see money flooding in that nobody saw coming. So honestly, it's still way too early to put a cap on where this thing could go. And here's another massive wild card. Is ISO 2022 going to add serious rocket fuel to XRP's value? That could be the factor that sends us to the stratosphere. Plus, we've still got the whole regulatory clarity situation brewing in the background. You know I love keeping you guys in the loop about all the amazing catalysts we're watching for, because trust me, there are so many things brewing behind the scenes right now. And speaking of mind-blowing statements, get ready for this bombshell. Ripple's CTO David Schwartz just dropped an absolute nuke of a comment. He's actually claiming that $1 million per XRP is more realistic than $1. I know. Let that sink in for a second. $1 million per XRP. Whoa, hold up though. Before you start planning your $1 million mansion, let me clarify what David Schwartz was actually saying here. He wasn't literally predicting 1 million XRP. What he was doing was painting a picture to show us why XRP needs to have serious value to handle massive cross-border payments worldwide. Now here's the real question. Do I think XRP could eventually hit $10,000? You bet I do. Once we see true mass adoption and XRP is actually being used for cross-border payments on a global scale, those numbers become totally realistic. We're just not quite there. Yet. But guys, it's absolutely happening. We're literally watching the final pieces of this puzzle fall into place right before our eyes. That's why we keep seeing these massive announcements about Ripple partners teaming up with other companies, acquiring businesses, and building payment rails all over the planet. And here's what really gets me excited. Ripple is now buying back XRP. Think about that for a second. Why would they be scooping up their own tokens if they thought XRP was going to stay cheap? They know this thing is going to be worth serious money. The last pieces we're waiting for? True scarcity to kick in, and real-world adoption to explode. Coinbase scheduled downtime on XRP ETF approval date sparks speculation. Alright, so we've been circling these dates on our calendar for a while now, and guess what? It's all coming together. Coinbase just officially confirmed they're doing maintenance on October 25th, and this is happening right smack dab in the middle of the SEC's XRP ETF decision window. Coincidence? Huckles. I think not. But here's the plot twist that's got everyone scratching their heads. The SEC is currently shut down, along with the rest of the government right now. So these were the original target dates we've all been eagerly waiting for when it comes to a spot XRP ETF. Now, realistically, these dates are probably going to slide into November. But honestly, that's totally fine. Here's why I'm not worried. We could still see an absolutely massive run-up heading into the end of October. Think about it. Tons of smart money is going to want to get positioned before these ETFs actually go live. And if you're one of those people still sitting on the sidelines without any XRP or crypto at all, I hate to break it to you, but that window of opportunity is slamming shut fast. You can literally see the train leaving the station right now. Now here's what I think might happen. Once the government reopens, we'll either get a fresh batch of scheduled dates from the SECOR, and this would be surprised amazing. Maybe Commissioner Atkins just comes out swinging and greenlights all these ETFs at once. My gut tells me he's going to fast-track the heck out of everything. And here's something we can't forget. We're basically playing catch-up with the entire rest of the world right now. Other countries are light years ahead of us when it comes to crypto adoption and regulation. Sure, Trump coming back to the White House helped us speed things up big time, and they've fast-tracked a bunch of stuff. But meanwhile, other countries are still racing ahead of us like we're standing still. You know what? Most influencers out there are just pumping whatever tokens they're holding to line their own pockets. But me, I'm here trying to pump your bags with XRP. Now, obviously, that's not financial advice, especially if you're reading this with your eyes half closed while eating cereal or something. Plus, I'm totally saying this with my fingers crossed behind my back. Shout out to Vincent Van Code for that gem. But real talk, I don't even think what I do counts as shilling XRP. What I'm actually doing is bringing you the daily narrative, keeping you updated on all the Ripple and XRP news that matters. But here's where I go the extra mile. I want you paying attention to what's happening in the real world, too. There was a time when crypto existed in its own little bubble, totally separate from world events. But those days are long gone. Now, the president can fire off one tweet and boom, the entire market goes into freefall. That's the reality we're living in right now. Here's the thing, though. I'm not really here to shill XRP because, let's be honest, you're all already holding it. What I really want to do is keep your spirits up so you can actually make it to that finish line. I want to help you hodl your XRP until you achieve true financial freedom. When I say, let's get rich together, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I want to celebrate massive wins with every single one of you. I don't want to get rich while you're left behind. That's never been the plan. From day one of starting this channel, my mission has always been getting all of you to that finish line. And guess what? That finish line is finally coming into view. We're so close I can almost taste it. I've been telling you for months. We're in the calm before the storm. Well, that storm is rolling in fast, and I can feel the electricity in the air. I know everyone's getting impatient, and trust me, I totally get it. This cycle has been completely different from anything we've seen before. It's so weird that people are throwing out the whole 4-year cycle theory and talking about 5 or 6-year cycles now. But here's what most people don't realize. They're mostly talking about Bitcoin when they say that. Bitcoin is going to peak, and it's going to happen way sooner than most people expect. And that's when the real magic happens. That's when altcoins like XRP are going to absolutely explode and steal the show. ... And when that moment hits, all of you are going to make an absolutely insane amount of money. Speaking of watching the price, let's talk about Dave Portnoy for a hot second. This guy is literally checking the XRP price every 5 seconds. He's like, stay away from your friend who says Circle will tank XRP's value. Dave Portnoy says nope. But then he admits, I'm refreshing my phone constantly, and if XRP drops below $2.20, I'm going to lose my absolute mind. Here's what's hilarious about Dave's journey. Remember when he panic sold all his XRP? Then what does he do? Comes crawling back and drops a cool $1 million on XRP. Now everyone's making bets on whether he'll paper hand it again on the next dip. And you know what? Even billionaires get the jitters on red days. They start sweating, getting all impatient, and their first instinct is to hit that sell button. It's actually kind of funny when you think about it. But here's where you need to be different. You've got to be smarter than all these emotional traders out there. And honestly, most of you already are smarter because you had the vision to buy XRP in the first place. I bet a lot of you initially bought XRP without even fully understanding what this beast was designed to do. But once you started learning about its real-world utility, once you realized how XRP could literally revolutionize global payments and fix so many broken systems, that's when it clicked, right? That's when you understood that XRP staying this cheap is not going to last forever. Okay, get ready to have your mind blown. James Seifert just dropped some absolutely massive news. There are over 150 digital asset ETFs sitting in the approval queue right now. And guess what's included in the next wave that's coming our way? That's right, XRP and Solana ETFs are locked and loaded. Now think back to what happened when Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs finally went live. Those markets went absolutely bonkers with all that institutional money flooding in. So just imagine for a second, all that same type of massive liquidity tsunami hitting XRP. Are you getting goosebumps yet? Because I sure am. Check out what he had to say about this.
There's like 35 different assets that have been filed for. So I mean, some of them are leveraged, some of them are inverse. Like you name it, the issuers are filing to launch these things. But as you mentioned, the government's in a shutdown. So I don't think anything new is going to come to market while the government is shut down. That's my current expectations. I guess anything could happen because technically the rules are if the SEC doesn't stop you within 75 days. We can get into the weeds there if we really want. But basically, the new rules are basically if the SEC signs off on things or doesn't stop you, you can launch the product within 75 days of filing. Realistically, there's only 9-ish assets they're going to get approved before the end of 2025 that meet these new generic listing standards for like traditional spot products. But there's other ways to get around and launch like, these pseudo products that are almost like spot or leverage or use derivatives and things like that to provide exposure in ETF wrapper. But as you said, I don't think any of those things are likely going to launch while the government is shut down.
Yeah. Do you think that these ETFs, which historically have had a significant impact on the crypto markets and have seen incredible inflows, do you think with the recent uprising of digital asset treasury companies in this publicly listed format, because now those are sort of in the spotlight and you can get exposure through these DATs, do you think we're going to see a little bit less anticipation and excitement around the ETFs when they do inevitably go live?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a few thoughts here, right? Like the long tail of assets, I mentioned there's 30 plus assets that are filed for ETFs. Some have like 20 plus filings related to them, like Solana and XRP and other Bitcoin and Ethereum products. I think the longer tail of assets are of assets like specific digital currencies. They're probably not going to get a ton of interest, right? Like just because you launch like the 47th largest digital asset in an ETF wrapper doesn't mean that this asset's going to take off because it simply has an ETF. I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin ETFs, part of the reason they did so well is because there was so much pent up demand. And when they launched, Bitcoin was roaring, right? Like it launched into early January and everyone was expecting it. A lot of money poured in. Initially, it was actually kind of a sell the news event. But long-term, money kept pouring in and it was a positive thing for the space. Ethereum is the opposite. For the first 5 months of its launch, they had net outflows for Ethereum ETFs because, market had dumped. It was in the summer. There wasn't a lot of demand. It came too quickly after the Bitcoin ETF launched. The narratives weren't clear. But then Trump got elected and it took off. And it's just another avenue for people to play the space, particularly TradFi types of people. So I think the same thing could happen for these other assets. So I think things like Solana and XRP, we know there's pent-up demand there.
And boom! That's exactly what I've been screaming from the rooftops this whole time. The demand for XRP is absolutely through the roof, and every single institutional player out there knows it. I mean, come on. Why do you think we're seeing ETF filing after ETF filing for XRP? It's because they can already see the massive demand that's been building up, just waiting to explode. Here's what I think is about to happen. And this is going to be wild. We're going to see money start flowing out of those Bitcoin ETFs because people are going to want the shiny new toys. It's human nature, right? People are going to be like, hold up, we never had a chance to get exposure to Solana or XRP through traditional investing before. Now we finally can? Sign me up. They're going to start diversifying like crazy and looking beyond just Bitcoin. But here's the real kicker. XRP has something that most other cryptos don't have. The technology behind XRP actually sells itself. This isn't just some speculative play. XRP has real utility, real use cases, and real-world applications. And that, my friends, is an absolute game changer that's going to separate XRP from the pack. Alex Cobb just dropped some technical analysis gold on us. He's telling everyone to keep their eyes glued to this falling wedge pattern that's forming on XRP right now. And guys, here's what gets me so excited about this. Do you have any idea how many times we've watched XRP form these falling wedge patterns? Like, seriously, I've lost count at this point. But here's the beautiful thing. You know what happens almost every single time after we see one of these patterns? XRP goes absolutely ballistic to the upside. We're talking about massive, face-melting pumps that leave everyone's jaws on the floor. And with all the buzz I'm hearing from literally everyone in the crypto space, maybe, just maybe, this explosive breakout is going to kick off this week. The stars are definitely starting to align, people, but we all know it's eventually going to happen. But hey, at least we're sitting pretty in the green right now with XRP. All I'm really hoping for is to see us smash through that $2.40 barrier before this weekend wraps up. If we can pull that off, oh man, we could be looking at an absolutely amazing week ahead of us. As long as we don't get blindsided by any surprise tariff drama or some crazy conflict popping off somewhere in the world, and everything just stays nice and chill, I genuinely think we're going to keep climbing that ladder. Now, if we can't break through, well, there's definitely a chance we could see XRP dip back under $2. And honestly, a lot of smart analysts are calling for exactly that scenario. But here's what I want you to remember. No matter what happens in the short term, we are still going to witness an absolutely mind-blowing parabolic run for this incredible cryptocurrency. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Until that magical moment arrives, though, I need you to stay patient. Keep that positive energy flowing, and let's continue this journey to get rich together. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap up today's video. I seriously cannot thank you all enough for hanging out with me and supporting the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have an incredible night, future millionaires.